So, as you can see, my makeup is nearly finished. I'm going out for the evening and I thought I'd do a quick tutorial about face shapes and contouring and highlighting. Now, when you're thinking about face shapes, try not to get hung up on things like, oh, I've got a fat bit here, or, you know, I've got a not, you know, funny chin here. It's geometry. It's basic geometry. And I have a round face shape because the width of my face is very similar to the length, so very round. I know I'm a round face because, as I said, width, length, quite similar. So what I would do to shape my face, and I'll show you, is, now I've got Sculpt and Shape here. I think it's called Sculpt and Shape. Yeah, Sculpt and Shape powder by MAC. And what it is it's like a two-phase thing. The lighter one is the highlighter, and the darker one is the contour. So we're going to start with the contouring first. Now what we want to do is try and make my face more oval. So I want to narrow here. What I'm going to do is take a bit of that shader and pop it along the temple. Now I'm doing this with powder, but let's say I was doing a bridal look or a high definition look, I would use foundation. I would use darker foundation and blend it with either a sponge or a brush. So I've done the temples, and again it's optical illusion. Suddenly that's starting to give it some angles here. And I also want to make this bit disappear. So I'll shade that too. Like that. And do the same on the other side. Turn that way. What I want to do is I want to give my face less of a round appearance, and all I'm doing is I'm shaving off those round, almost round bits, and giving myself some corners. So pop it on like this. Now I also want my cheekbones to sort of stand out a bit. So what you'd normally do, take your brush and roll it up until you can feel the cheekbone. I can feel it now. Load up with some shader and just put it under the cheekbone. I mean, you're going to have to trust me on this, because if I make it any darker, I'm not really going to be able to leave the house. There we go. I found my cheekbone. I'm just brushing it upwards, and you can see, there it is. It's starting to show, and you don't need a lot. There, and that's really helped to shape my face. Now, in terms of highlighting, you don't need to put it everywhere. With a round shaped face, it's down the nose and slightly on the forehead, like this. And that's it. You can pop a bit on top of the cheekbones, but there's no real urgency to do that. Now, take your blusher. I'm going to take a fairly rosy coloured one. Pop that on the top of the cheekbone, just above where you have put the contouring powder. Like that. And then just blend the three all together with sort of light motions. You really want it to blend away to nothing. So I'm wondering if you can see, yeah, you can see a little bit of the contouring powder there. I'm just blending that up into my ear. But you can see, I now have more of a defined chin and my forehead looks smaller. An oval face, sort of slightly narrow here, wider here, narrower here. So if you have an oval shaped face, you don't need to do any of the corrective stuff that I did up here or down here, because what we're trying to get to is an oval shaped face. That's kind of perfection per se. Right, so all you would do is what I did with a bit of contouring here, blusher and highlighter here. That's all you need to do. You can also have a square face where, I mean, it's very obvious when you look at someone, you can tell what face shape. They'll have a stronger jawline, very sort of square here. Now for a square shaped face, you would take your highlighter to the chin and you would also take it to nearer to where the blusher would go, here, just here. and you would apply some contour here on both sides, and what that helps to do is get rid of some of the harsh angle. And you'd also apply a bit of shader here, and it's all optical illusion to sort of soften the features and to give you that lovely oval shape. We can also have an oblong face, very similar to the square face, probably quite a prominent jaw, but longer here. Now for a more oblong shaped face, so sort of rectangular, you would place a bit of shader here. That's first where you would start, just to sort of bring the forehead out a bit. And to equal it out, you'd probably put some on the chin too. Blusher in the normal place, just here on the cheekbone, and highlighter. Surprisingly enough, you would want your highlighter on the temples. And then you'd pretty much do the opposite of what I've done, because I wanted my face to look more square. So if you have a squarer face, a rectangular face, you wanted to make it look rounder. So where I put shader here, you would want to put highlighter. And then we have a heart-shaped face, which normally has a pointier chin and possibly slightly raised along the forehead. For a heart-shaped face, highlighter again here, because it shares the sort of triangular. And then to minimise the effect of the sort of triangle, a bit of shader here and here, and just sort of blend them in nicely. And what we're trying to do is push that in, bring this out. And then we might have the diamond-shaped face, which is a fairly narrow forehead, sloping temples, and then a triangular point to the chin. For a diamond-shaped face, we put a bit of shader here, blush it in the normal place here, another bit of shader here, highlighter on the side, highlighter here. It's one of the more complicated face shapes to do, but not impossible. We also might have a pear-shaped face, which is, as the name suggests, you have a bigger jawline than your forehead. And what we would do to minimise that sort of shape is shade here, like where I have to just bring the jaw into more definition. A bit of highlighter on the forehead. So I hope you can see that actually contouring and highlighting is not all of the same thing. Those are the places that you highlight on a face, but depending on your face shape, you'll only select those things that are going to work for you. If you put it in every single place, you're not going to work. It's not going to work at all. And there's more to do with contouring, about bringing out certain features. If I wanted to, you know, shade down the nose, you know, that sort of stuff. But I'm not really going to go into that because that's quite complicated. But those are the basics of using your blusher, highlighter, and contouring powders.